Today is November 24 and we are all across India and across many cities in the globe. We are remembering uh, Ramakant Bhai, Ramakant Gundecha, a very dear friend uh, who passed away uh, completely without any warning on November 8th, and obviously has gone on a longer and greater musical journey on his own. But I remember that our deeper association began here in this uh, structure that you see behind me. This is the Mandala Theatre, which was created by the dancer and choreographer Chandralekha. And for her very last work, Sharira, she had invited the Gundecha Bandhu to come and explore the possibility of a collaboration between her mode of performance and her complete departure from the so-called traditional Bharatanatyam style and the very classical, very traditional, very serious form called the Dhrupad form of music. So Chandralekha was taking the physical language to a completely new frontier, pushing the envelope until the form itself was unrecognizable. You wouldn't know whether it was Bharatanatyam or Kalarippayattu or yoga, or it was a very, very interesting, seamless amalgam of all that. And the Gundecha Bandhu had spent close to 35 years reviving and re-establishing Dhrupad in this country through their very, very hard practice and diligent work and remarkable standout performances, not just in India but all parts of the world. So we had got to know the Gundechas out of those 35 years that the Gundechas were sort of in the process of working around Dhrupad. We had known them for maybe 30 years, meeting them first in Delhi and then in the Bharat Bhavan in Bhopal and so on. And out of those 30 years, at least for 17 years, we worked together on this Sharira form. They continued to perform the music for Sharira live, singing on stage, not just till Chandralekha passed away in 2006, but they continued for another 10 or 12 years until the Sharira performance itself lapsed for various reasons. Now, there were many people who used to tell Chandra that why are you putting this absolutely smashing looking, absolutely stunning looking and absolutely brilliant performers on stage along with your dancers? Because half the time we don't know whether to look at the performance of the dancers or to look at the musicians. And Chandralekha used to nod her head and smile broadly and say, well, I don't blame you, because throughout the performance I am also looking at them only, I hardly look at the dancers. So this was the kind of relationship that was there between us traveling around the country, traveling around the world, all kind of remote corners, all kind of brilliant cities, all kind of fantastic venues and festivals. And through all this, Ramakant was the one who emerged as a, how shall we say, the Vidushak of the lot. He was the one who always had a twinkle in his eye. He always had some mischief up his sleeve. He always was bursting with the possibility of cracking a quick joke. He enjoyed wordplay. And through all this, there was this tremendous curiosity about whatever he was seeing, whether it was a structure, a form, a musical idea, a philosophical idea, a literary piece, a poem. He responded to anything around nature and any possibility of a little play with all this. And I remember that in Sharira, we had eventually worked out that the 63 minutes of the performance will begin with the Bhairav Rag and transit up to ending with Ahir Bhairav. transiting through Yaman and Bihar. And it was Ramakant who worked out those joineries, the transitions, the moves, from something like the antaras to the sancharis, the moves. It was he who worked out the jhor and the jhalas were what he was, very very good at weaving together. He was like a little karigar. He was like a little craftsman who could weave together these things. And when the music should relax a bit and when the tempo should pick up, uh, were all things that it was Ramakant who sort of worked on it. And the Nom Toms and the Kharaj, these were the areas for Ramakant. And it was wonderful to see how that whole thing worked, and it kind of held together. And eventually, the slowness of the Chandralekha pulling the body to an Ati Vilambit mode, an absolutely slow movement process, began to match with the Ati Vilambit that the Dhrupad could create. And sometimes the contrast, when one would go fast and the other would go slow. So eventually, uh, the memory of Ramakant Gundecha is not the memory of just individual who passed. It's a memory of an entire period, of a historic period, a historic moment when a particular kind of music was created. And I know that each one who came in contact with Ramakant got in touch, got to know him in a completely different way. His family knows him in a particular way, his friends know him in a particular way, his students know him in an even more deeper way, because he was the kind of teacher and guru who could lead the student to vistas which the students didn't even realize they had in themselves. He had that ability to make them reach out to the resources within, and many of them have spoken and written about this. So I am of this opinion that today being Ramakant's 58th birthday, I'm really in no mood to grieve. I'm in a mood to celebrate this amazing personality and this amazing musician who, along with his two brothers, Umakant Gundecha and Akhilesh Gundecha, literally pulled Dhrupad out of a possible erasure, a possible, let's say, journey to nullification, back into public space, back into popularity, and now have created over at least 100 students across the globe who are ready to take this form to a completely new levels of perfection and excitement. So I am only on this day going to hold hands with all the community of musicians across the globe and across India who remember Ramakant and who will continue remembering him, and who wish the Gundecha brothers, Gundecha Bandhu, a further journey which will be unceasing and which will obviously show all of us new frontiers of music. So I wish Ramakant a great birthday wherever he is, and I'd like to remind him that we are all in that musical circle together, that extremely magical circle that he managed to create along with his brothers. So I can only pray for his soul to rest in peace, and I mean, there are no words really to comfort the family, but I hope they will be able to live with this moment for a long time.